Hi everybody, it is I, Justin Hawkins, and this is Justin Hawkins Rides Again, my YouTube channel. Today I'm talking about Axl Rose, the legend, the man, the myth, the lead vocalist for Guns N' Roses. One of the most, distinctive voices in rock or even in any genre, I suppose, of the last, what would you say? Well, let's say of the last 50 years, he's got to be one of the most distinctive vocalists that maybe there's ever been. You know, he's just got this timbre and the way he enunciates things. You recognise him a mile away, just like Slash's guitar playing. I think Slash and Axl were the 80s is Mick and Keith. Can't say fairer than that, can we? So, there you go. I'm a massive Axl Rose fan. Justin Hawkins rides again. This performance we're going to look at here was at the Stagecoach Festival on the 30th of April this year with Carrie Underwood. The thing about Guns N' Roses is, you know, they've spent a long time making that Chinese Democracy record. I think they went through a lot of different producers. The whole process was plagued by, you know, what you can imagine is creative indecision and just stuff going wrong, I expect. And we've played, The Darkness played with Guns N' Roses a few times. We played with them at Rock in Rio, and on those the more recent ones where we played with them at Imola racetrack in Italy, and in Zurich here in Switzerland, and some of the Scandinavian shows as well. And on those occasions, they were brilliant. I mean, absolutely great. They played for ages. They were doing Pink Floyd covers, 5 or 6 costume changes. Axl Rose was absolutely on fire. His voice was incredible, and I thought he was great when he did the AC/DC stuff as well. He's coming back, isn't he? Because I think there was a period of time when we played with him when he was very, very late on stage. He was showing up, but making people wait hours before he came on, and I think a lot of his even his sort of core fan base were a bit frustrated with some of his behaviours. But you know, he's an extraordinary person with an extraordinary career. You want your frontmen to be a bit weird, don't you? And he's definitely that. I remember I was standing backstage at Rock in Rio, and his security folk literally held me against a wall so that he could walk past. And, you know, that's fair enough. I would have just annoyed him a bit. So I was like, yay, I'm being pinned against the wall by Axl Rose's security. I actually quite enjoyed the experience. He's 60 years old. He's been with Been with Guns N' Roses since 1985, and Sweet Child O' Mine was released in 1988. It was their only US number one single. Presumably that would be number one on the US 100 Billboard. We're not just talking about not just the rock chart, we're talking about the singles chart. So it was definitely a crossover mega hit. So here he is singing it with Carrie Underwood. Okay, the first thing I'm going to check is the key. Is it in the original key? Guns N' Roses songs are always detuned, aren't they? By a semitone. So instead of an E, it'd be an E flat, blah, blah, blah. So you'd expect it to be here. And it is. So they're doing it in original key. When you get to 60 and you're still singing Guns N' Roses songs in original key, you're doing something right. You know, I love the Guns N' Roses arrangements. It's sort of because there's something really posh about the way Slash played those sort of original riffs and stuff. You overlook the fact that really it's just mixed like an AC/DC record. Like you've got Izzy over the other side. You hear what he's up to, loud and clear, because it's just his rhythm parts are so exposed. They're almost hard panned over there. So you could actually, with an old stereo, just listen to one side of it to hear what he's up to, listen to the other side of it to hear what Slash is up to. And I always think that when you have two rhythm players that are kind of, it doesn't matter how tight they are, they're always going to have a slightly different sort of they're going to land differently around the beat. You know, like some people play ahead of it. I tend to play ahead of it, and people like my brother are right on it. And then there are people who play a little bit behind it, and I think it just widens the stereo image. If you've got one guitar player playing on the beat and one guitar player playing later, it doesn't really matter who's doing what, but just that's a huge part of the sonic signature of a band that arranges their guitars like that. And Guns N' Roses were one of the best at that. This I need to have it like this, or else it's just going to keep hitting the mic. Does that look cool? Yeah, probably. Yeah. Are they going to play the drums in true Steven Adler style? Will it have all the iconic fills and so on? Let's check it. Here we go. Okay, Carrie Underwood's rocking it. Sounds good. That's not bad, is it? And then she's got the nous and the wherewithal to actually give it the Axl, which, if you'll permit me, I'll just show you the Axl move. Hang on. For those of you who aren't aware of it, it's this. Glasses down. And it's this. Sort of. Well, that's her version of it. I think he's more like, like that. Really, to really enhance the effect of that, you should have a checkered shirt tied around your waist, biker jacket over the top. Probably not a foreigner t-shirt, but that's the most rocking thing I could find. The rest of it's all dirty because I tend to run in my metal t-shirts and rock t-shirts. And I went for a run today, and yesterday, and the day before. That's the commitment that I show to just being the most well-exercised YouTuber that you subscribe to. This is a really great version. Everything's really well observed. They're playing it. Then this is what I call note for noting it. It's not easy to do with Guns N' Roses, but if you don't, it's kind of always a bit. Don't play a Guns N' Roses song unless you're going to note for note it, and they are. So well done, the Carrie Underwood band. Here we go. Welcome to the greatest night of my life. Okay, I think it should go da da doom, but you know, Steven Adler is a touring entity still, and he has a singer called Ari who really sounds like Axl Rose, but because he's Steven Adler, he's got to play it like the record, and a huge part of that record is how he approached the drum parts and wrote the drum parts. I suppose it's awesome to see. So there's one or two things where the drummer here is expressing himself. Of course, it's great to do that. But I think on the whole, it's a really faithful cover. This, and she's just about to introduce the star turn, the cameo to end all cameos. By the way, the link to my cameo is in the description. Here comes Mr. Axl Rose. Give it up for Axl Rose! What would you do if he came out in the? I mean, obviously he's 60 years old. He looks great considering he's 60 years old. But if he came out. What would you do if he came out in the the little what are they called, cycle shorts, and just came sprinting out of his legs, his heels kicking up behind him, wearing a wig that looked exactly like the olden days? What would you do? You'd spit your coffee out and stand up and applaud, I think. Like, all right, sorry. That's what you'd do. What would you do if she then went, and now to play the guitar solo, here's Slash! And then Slash came out. What would you do? So that's the thing. Like, there's a lot of pressure on Axl, even the way he moves and stuff. Like, I think people scrutinise him. They really do, because they hold him to such a high standard. Like the stuff he was doing in the 80s is so iconic.
It starts around 7, we go on stage around 9, get on the bus about 11, sipping a drink and feeling fine.
That dance move that even I have perfected. And, you know, I'm not a dancer, not professional anyway. I had to leave all that behind me. Actually, just as a side story, I auditioned for Strictly Come Dancing a few years ago, and they said no professionals. True story. So he's coming in cold. It doesn't seem like he's warmed his voice up 100%, but for a 60-year-old singing in the original key, that's not bad. He's enunciating slightly differently because I don't think he's pushing as much air through as he normally would. Like if it was in the middle of a Guns N' Roses show, I've seen it myself. Even recently, he'll be blasting that. Oops, excuse me for a minute. Sorry, that's my coffee. I got too excited. He'll be blasting it, and actually it would sound more or less like the Axl Rose that we've come to know and love, But I think this is just him coming in cold, somebody else's gig. The occasion has got the better of him in these opening exchanges, but let's see what happens. I'd hate to look into those eyes and see an. Okay, he's got a lot of compression on his voice, and it's helping him to enunciate without trying too hard. But you can hear that it's kind of easy for him in this instance. He's got the moves though, and he's starting to warm up. He's getting a bit of the great, I think when you start a gig, it's always advisable to hold back on the great stuff in case you blast through. So this is like coming on and doing a star turn at a Carrie Underwood show to sing your biggest single is like coming into your own gig for the last song. You've got to take it easy. You've got to tread carefully, especially at 60. Here he comes, so when he gets to pray for the thunder, he's there. I mean, this guy's properly singing it. There's nothing on tapes. There's no, what's it called? He's not running some sort of Antares pitch correction stuff side stage, which I think probably for a period of some older singers' careers, that's something that happens. And one of the reasons why you're not allowed to stand side stage at some of these sort of more established sort of heritage acts. This guy's singing it, and he's singing it more or less in tune with nearly as much power as he used to at somebody else's gig. It's fucking brilliant. I feel like he's lost a bit of the weight as well. Not that this is not here to body shame anybody. I mean, my weight has fluctuated over the years. I'm the first to admit that. I actually thought about doing a thing on my social media called Fat Jussie Fridays, where there'd be a picture of me from my glorious, more big-boned period, and just try and celebrate it. But then it's a dangerous area. But I do think that when you see Axl Rose in this condition, it's encouraging because I think it suggests that he's looking after himself, and you can hear it in his voice, and there's something about his demeanour. Looks like a guy who's open-heartedly taking part in a collaboration, and it's just awesome to see. It's fucking Axl Rose. I want to see him dancing about and singing. I don't care if it's with Carrie Underwood or Guns N' Roses or whatever. It's just awesome. The guy's fucking a legend, and here he is, kicking us. The other thing to look at, is I think this is an open air gig somewhere. Yeah, it's a festival, isn't it? Because his hair's blowing away, but he hasn't resorted to the ever widening headband. He's just owning it, leaning into it. This is a 60-year-old man who wants to be seen, and I see it, and I'm delighted to see it. So then the song finishes and he looks really chuffed. It's just great. So Axl Rose is on his way back to form, I think. When he sang those AC/DC songs, I just thought he was brilliant. Those songs need to be sung by somebody who can actually put a lyric like that across in that high register with loads and loads of shred in his voice. And I thought he kicked ass. The stuff I saw online looked amazing. He's always brilliant live. Probably quite an eccentric character. Notoriously difficult to work with, so on and so forth. You hear so many brilliant stories about him, and he's still doing it, and he's out there kicking ass. So well done, Axl. I'm really, really happy to see it. I hope I can still do that when I'm 60. It's amazing. Justin Hawkins rides again. again. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, watch one of these 2 videos, and celebrate the legend that is Axl Rose. All right, lots of love to you guys. See you on the ice. Cheers.